Guerrilla Marketing by a Stranger in a Strange Land. William Hovey Smith, 2015. I'm the author of the forthcoming series of business books, Profit. And here is how I exercised guerrilla marketing to sell me and my products in China. This is Hovey Smith, the backyard sportsman. And today I'd like to tell you about guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing is a technique used by individuals like myself who may be put into unusual circumstances and have to do some rather peculiar things in order to draw attention to themselves, to sell themselves and their products. Now, I teach by example. In my particular case, I was invited rather unexpectedly to appear at an international conference in China. Well, this conference is sponsored, among others, by the government of Hunan province, which is the largest of China's provinces. And this was to be an expense-paid trip, and I was asked if I wished to speak. And so I replied yes, and I prepared a presentation to go. Now, when you arrive at a place like this and you are basically unknown in this particular environment, yeah, you have to prepare a little bit ahead of time. So I had just published a book, Ideas for New Businesses. Well, this is a fine little book for what it is. This is a slim volume. And what it's designed to do is to inspire people to think of ideas from 4 universally available sources that they have at their access all the time. And when they're on a long trip, like to China, there's actually some blank pages in the back to write them down. Yeah. So this is a log that they can keep. So when they develop their own ideas, and oftentimes these long plane flights are about the only time they really have by themselves these days, they can record them. And the nice thing about writing pen and ink on paper is that these do not appear on any company documents. They are never in a company computer. These are your property. Therefore, no company can lay claim to them. So that was the idea and inspiration behind this little book. And it's the first of a Profit series of books that I'll be writing over the next decade or two. Now, this is a fine little book, but I didn't think it had enough to really be presentable at an international conference talking about new technologies for third world countries. I thought, well, what can I really develop and tell them that they haven't already heard numerous times before? The concept that I came up with is finding the creatives within your corporation or country. And so I made up an 8-minute PowerPoint, which is a very powerful presentation and very thorough, by the way, for its length. I challenge anyone else to do better. And in it, I develop what a creative is, how they're formed, how you nurture them, how you recognize them, how you develop them through life, what stages they're in, and what happens to them toward the end. How best to employ these very valuable resources. People are a nation's most important natural resource, and they can outstrip production from mines, oil wells, and the like, if they are allowed to fully develop their creative capacities. So this is something that every nation needs to know about and every nation needs to fully implement. So this was a program I was going to present. Well, when I arrived in China, I found I was not on the speaker's program. Whoa! Well, I wasn't the only one, by the way. And there were many others who had likewise prepared things to present, but they were not listed. What to do? Well, I'd already decided to do something rather outrageous when I presented my piece on creatives. That I would stand up in front of this audience dressed in suits like this, and diplomats and members of Fortune 500 and Forbes 2000 companies dressed in a cooking smock and make my presentation doing that. And that is exactly what I did. Hence my taupe here. And that was done. However, since I wasn't going to present formally, that sort of put the kibosh on that a little bit. So what I wound up doing was one day, I actually wore the smock all throughout the day, including the meetings and the sessions and all of this. I was probably the most photographed person there. That made an impression, as well as on the other delegates. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman, and I'm at the Third World Emerging Industries Conference in Zhengzhou, China. Now, in connection with the conference, there's a rather large trade show going on, and some of the events at the conference are actually taking place within the constraints of the trade show. So we're going to go in and attend the conference, take a look, and show you a little bit about what modern China is all about. In addition, I ran across this material here, which is Chinese white spirits. I had previously made arrangements with the hotel management to do a video with the chef in the hotel restaurant. So this had by this time been done. So the restaurant staff was sort of familiar with me walking around with my cooking smock on. So on one occasion I brought this Chinese white spirits, which is a absolutely terrible, wretched drink, and served it and explained it to those who were also attending the conference. And told them that how Chinese employed this as a business strategy. In short, they love to get these Westerners drunk on this stuff, and then they'll agree to just about anything. Well, if you're going to do aggressive, unusual marketing like this, several things have to happen. First off, you really have to have bona fide credentials. You really have to be invited to the event. You just don't show up in some strange garb and expect to be let in and participate with the rest of the delegation. Yeah, you have to receive a genuine invitation and be a recognized member of the delegation. So I wore this all throughout the proceedings. They also issued a little button, as they commonly do these days, which you also wore. Now, prior to going, I thought of one other tactic. Now, I can't compete with Europeans dressed in $2,000 suits so far as appearance goes. So for a more normal appearance, I chose to wear Western. Just something distinctly U.S., something not that terribly often seen in China, but nonetheless familiar, and I have some real rights to wear it. I lived for many years in Arizona. I have a degree, for example, from the University of Alaska, and so I wore some Western garb, including these boots, which are not really Western boots. They actually came from the GDR, the German Democratic Republic, and are officers' boots once issued to their military officers. But nonetheless, they did reasonably well as Western boots. So this gave me another distinctive outfit along with some Western shirts to wear for more casual occasions. So in these manners, I distinguished myself from the rest of the delegation. However, I still was not able to make a formal presentation before the full delegation, which I had hoped to do. So what I did was, at lunches and occasions like this, I had my presentation ready to go on my laptop. So I broke out small groups and twice gave it actually to small groups of people there. And this was very effective, although it reached only comparatively few people. I nonetheless collected a great number of cards, and these I'm working right now, and will key them into my presentation, which is now completely on YouTube. I actually recorded the YouTube presentation before I went to the meeting, just in case something like this might happen. Now that presentation that I recorded is actually much longer, about 32 minutes. than my delivery time was. This was the first time I'd gone through it, and it was sort of slow. So not bad, because this is intended, remember, for a third world audience whose English might not be their first language. So this is listed as being in slow English, and in effect, it really is. And so this way, I have my presentation out there. It's available worldwide. Anyone can view it. And if you are in personnel or business development, you should really see this, because this is a significant piece of work. And I'll later actually bring out another little book in the Prophet series with that same title and develop some of these themes with a little more thoroughness. So this is how you can do guerrilla marketing. Vital points are, first off, you've got to have something really significant to market. Yeah? You've got to have something to say. It has to be solid, and it has to be real. Secondly, you have to be solid and real. Even if you wear some outrageous costume like I do with this cooking smock and so on, you have to have some record or some reason to have worn it and have earned it. Well, I do books, and backyard deer hunting, converting deer to dinner for pennies per pound, is one of them. And I'm an established and recognized outdoor cook. And I have many videos about cooking. Some of these 400 that I have are on those topics. So yes, I have credibility in the cooking market. Most importantly, what you have to say has to be of some interest or use to the people you're involved in, the people you're contacting. If it's frivolous, if it's just entertainment, if it's just a flashy show, that it'll not be long remembered. But if you can teach them anything that they don't know, show them something, explain something, expose something, then you'll make an impression. And these personal impressions are what's really lasting. That way, when you send them later, follow up on their cards and say, yes, I was the guy who served you the Chinese white spirits that you enjoyed so much. Then they will remember who you were. Now, another thing I did that many delegates didn't was actually write my name on my name tag. Now, this would seem to be simple enough, but I was only one or two or three there that actually did it. Wow. Why not? I don't know. Everyone should have, but very, very few did, took the trouble to do it. So that again set me apart from the great other number of delegates. So this is guerrilla marketing in a nutshell. You've got to be versatile. You've got to rebound. You've got to take advantage of the opportunities that are offered. Make your own opportunities if they don't exist. And don't depend on people to recognize you or your great accomplishments, but what you've already done, because in a gathering like this, they don't know you, and they won't. You will be just completely ignored. You'll be just among the rest of the herd. So, if you want to sell yourself, and you want to sell yourself effectively, these guerrilla marketing techniques, with various variations, of course, depending on you and your personality and the circumstances, can really work to great effect. But now, this is Hovey Smith, wishing you good business and good luck. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. To find my YouTube video on creatives, just Google Hovey and creatives, and that'll bring it up. For info on my books, blogs, and more than 400 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good business and good luck. Goodbye, and God bless.